TikTok compilation that might wake you up and change your reality. Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Why did Victorians love getting vajazzles? Being the village bike can only get you so far, so you become a full-time prosy. And whilst it's all shits and gigs shagging a lad who tells you he's arrived once he's pumped and dumped in you, and that was jolly good, it's not jolly good when he gives you the clap. When you've got mercury up in your minge trying to cure it, you're probably making it worse. That lady bush is a bush no more. Yeah, you'd probs pass away from that, but what was especially annoying is that men were gagging for hairy fairies. Poet Robbie Burns got really annoyed when his lass didn't have a lady garden for him to explore, so he wrote a poem about it. It just goes to show how crucial these gardens were to the functioning of Victorian society. So fear not, village bike, you can wear a merkin instead, which is a pubic wig. To Victorians, having a full bush meant you were healthy and full of life. You weren't sick, old, decrepit, and worst of all, bald. So you just buy it and glue it on, or stick it on your face like this top shagger. A full wig like this would have been quite expensive for the average prosy, so it's probably possible that they just used little patches to cover up bald spots.
If you don't know, now you know. I would pay her to be my history teacher. She makes history so interesting. At least the holy water bacteria have had their sins washed away.
Barely turned 18 years old. I was shot 5 times with an AK-47. I was in a coma for 2 months. Man, I have like a missing spleen, missing kidney. I had like a half a pancreas, half a liver. Both my lungs collapsed. My aorta was torn. One of the nurses came in when I first got shot and wanted to take off like the tube, like not the tubes, but the like attachments that I had basically on me. And she said, "Oh, we're gonna walk you. I want to walk you." And I was like, I couldn't talk because I had a tube in my mouth, a tube in my throat, like on my side. And I'm like trying to explain to her, like, I can't walk yet. You know, I'm not ready to walk. She didn't listen to me, but like I said, I couldn't talk. So basically it was like one of these, like, no, trying to explain to her. She didn't listen. She followed up, kept taking off everything, sat me up, and when she sat me up, an air bubble rushed to my head, and I passed out. I basically died in front of them.
God is good, and He's on your side. He has big plan for you, brother.
This story is a perfect example of why you should never judge a book by its cover. Apparently, J. Cole was in a Tesla dealership, and the manager thought he was some random bum. Now, the creator of this video said that she told the manager that that was J. Cole, but the manager did not know who J. Cole was. And instead of trying to network and sell his Teslas to a multi-millionaire, he just continued trying to sell the Tesla to a random commoner that didn't even care about the Tesla anymore. Now, J. Cole is one of the few rappers that doesn't care about flexing. This man will literally ride a public bus or just bike around New York City like he's not one of the most known people on the planet. And he never really wears flashy chains or stuff like that. So it's not surprising to me that the manager didn't know he was a famous multi-millionaire celebrity. But it does prove the point that you need to be careful when judging a book by its cover.
I think J. Cole is one of the good guy. And Elon need to just go ahead and send J. Cole a truck for free to the house before people start boycotting.
Is what they don't tell you. Stonehenge isn't just an ancient monument, it's a complex device built by an advanced civilization. But that's not even the craziest part. In ancient texts, there are cryptic references to Stonehenge's true purpose, saying, "The stones harness the power of the cosmos." Stonehenge was constructed over 4,000 years ago, so what kind of power does it harness? This is where things get scary. In recently uncovered ancient manuscripts, it's said that Stonehenge wasn't merely a ceremonial site, but an energy device created by an advanced civilization known as the Anunnaki. The manuscripts specifically mention that the Anunnaki, who had advanced knowledge of astronomy and energy manipulation, constructed Stonehenge to channel and amplify cosmic energies. However, once the Anunnaki left, their knowledge was hidden, and the true purpose of Stonehenge was concealed to keep this powerful technology from being misused. This explains why Stonehenge's construction techniques and purposes remain a mystery and why it continues to baffle scientists and historians to this day.
Only a human ego thinks it's there for nothing. The pyramids, the stone formations are all there for a reason. Alright folks, the following clip is disturbing. Beware.
This is the moment a nurse who killed a patient by giving them the wrong medication is spared jail time. Redonda Vaught was supposed to give 75-year-old Charlene Murphy a mild sedative before a routine procedure, but instead she gave her a lethal dose of the paralyzing agent vecuronium, which comes with this clear warning label. Vaught was convicted of gross neglect of an impaired adult and negligent homicide on Friday after a 3-day trial. The victim's family told the judge to show mercy and made it clear that they forgive Vaught and claimed the victim would also want her to be forgiven. They also made it clear that they did not want her to go to jail. Vaught was facing up to 6 years in prison. However, she broke down in court after she was given 3 years probation. Vaught's trial had been closely watched by nurses and medical professionals across the U.S., many of whom worry it could set a precedent of criminalizing medical mistakes. Nurses around the country celebrated when she was spared jail time. What do you think about the verdict?
There's a next level forgiveness. Incompetence and mistakes are different things. I think medication like this should require 2 nurses or pharmacist assistants before the injections. What do you think?
Missiles expire. That's something a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
When we send weapons to Ukraine, we're not sending the new stuff. Our stuff expires, and we have to send it back to Raytheon, and they have to open it up in an all-nitrogen. So we have 2 choices when a the fuel is about to expire. We can shoot it, which is great if we have days on the training calendar to do that, or we can send it back to Raytheon. Well, now we have a third option. Third option is send it to Ukraine and let Ukraine shoot it at the Russians. Everybody wins except the Russians. We get to get rid of these missiles, which are going to cost money to remove from the inventory, to demill, we call it. We're going to get telemetry data, like data on how these weapon systems perform. So that information comes right back to us. And then American jobs are used to create these new missiles.
Yes, exactly.
So, like, everybody wins. We have
and that which improves our GDP.
So, well, I don't believe in the military-industrial complex, but
What do you mean you don't believe in it?
do you know how much money Lockheed Martin made in 2023? So Lockheed Martin made $8.7 billion last year.
And then the cycle continues. Russia capture it, reverse engineer it, and the US loses politically.
Changing drops. The drops can change eye color.
Nah, I won't mess with my eyes. The risk is fatal.
The woman.
That is so cool. I love koi fish. But what about the strong smell of the fish tank, or pool? Whatever you want to call.
accidentally left a rechargeable fan running on her back porch. It didn't go unnoticed by a local squirrel who was trying to beat the Texas heat. And when Bree spotted the little guy splooting comfortably in front of the fan, she couldn't help but think about all of the other squirrels in the area who hadn't been lucky enough to find their own personal cooling device. Even though she had never exactly considered herself a squirrel enthusiast, she knew in that moment that she wanted to do something for them. And she decided to open a state-of-the-art backyard squirrel resort, which is now open for its second year in a row. She started by adding more fans, giving more squirrel neighbors the chance to cool down at the same time. But just creating more space to cool off wasn't enough, so she added plenty of water and snacks, and even built the squirrels their own courtyard to really give the space a nice lounge feel. More and more squirrels started showing up to try out the cool new spot in town, and they rated it a perfect 5 acorns on Squirrel Yelp. Eventually, Bree and her husband decided it was time to expand the squirrel resort into the backyard trees, and they've now built an entire squirrel walk between some trees, which provides the squirrel patrons with additional convenience and more space to hang out. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
Squirrel just laying there like he pay rent.
This has to be the craziest I've ever seen. So China has this super famous waterfall that attracts millions of tourists every year. In fact, not only is it said to be their most beautiful in the country, but it's also their tallest waterfall too. But things kind of got a little bit awkward yesterday when a hiker discovered that the water was coming out of a pipe. I mean, that gives Made in China a whole new meaning. The video has gone so viral that Chinese officials were forced to apologize, and they did so as the waterfall. The statement reads, "I made a small enhancement during the dry season only so I would look my best to meet my friends. I didn't expect to meet everyone this way." This is why.
Timu waterfall is crazy word.
International Airport is the most monstrous conspiracy theory. I don't know whether to start with the fact that it's twice the size of Boston, Miami, and San Francisco. Or that every several months during construction, they switched contractors so that no one knows the full layout of the airport. Not to mention, there's at least 5 buildings that they decided to bury, and there's potentially hundreds of underground bunkers. So I'll just start it off simply with the terrifying artwork in this airport. Denver Airport welcomes you with this inviting 32-foot, 9,000-pound statue of this demonic horse with red eyes nicknamed Lucifer. This possessed statue essentially murdered its creator when a piece of it fell off during construction and severed its artery. A lot of people believe that it represents one of the 4 horsemen who will usher in the apocalypse, which seems far-fetched until you see the artwork they have in the Denver airport. What better way to get in the mood for a flight than to walk past this mural of a soldier stabbing a dove holding a rifle standing over unconscious children? The gas mask and decaying city are also a nice touch. Phone is rebelling because it was supposed to update months ago and I keep putting it off, so it won't let me post the second even more terrifying picture, but I'll post it tomorrow along with even crazier stuff.
You'll see the video on here of the guy walking through the back rooms of Denver Airport.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm 44. I grew up in the 90s and 2000. I love it. I wish I could go back there again. I love the vibes. We have this in Trans Studio Bali.
We just bought this
castle, and immediately when we bought it, we knew that we wanted to create a homestead. So let me show you our plans. What's really unique is that the whole house is gated all around the property, but then there's this separate gated area right to the right that I knew I wanted goats in here. So the plan is to have goats living in here. We're gonna have a chicken coop over here. I really want to build a chicken coop and a shelter for the goats over here on like a deck that comes out. And my biggest goal is to color match the side of our house. So you see the trim and the color, I want to color match it so that it looks the same. Like how cute. And I might even do some stonework on the chicken coop over here. But then they'll have this whole area to play. Zara will come say hello. Then we'll just be a couple steps away from the house.
I love it. What do I need to major in to afford this?
This woman from Poland is making solar panels you can print, and they could turn almost any surface into a power source using material which I'm going to tell you all about. This is Olga Malinkovic. With a team at Sao Technologies, they've created printable solar cells using a material called perovskite. Perovskite can be dissolved into an ink and printed onto flexible surfaces using an inkjet printer. This method helps minimize waste, reduce cost, and produces solar cells that are super light and flexible, and they can be applied to almost any surface from windows to clothes. They can power devices, serve as energy generating window blinds, and even help make renewable energy more accessible in remote areas. Perovskite is incredibly efficient at converting sunlight into electricity, as it can produce electricity from all of the sun's energy, including invisible infrared and UV, which traditional solar panels can't make use of. Olga and her team have even been nominated for a European Inventor Award by the European Patent Office, who I'm thrilled to be supporting this year. Tap like if you'd love to use these, and if you want to find out more amazing ideas helping our planet, you can head over to the European Inventor Award 2024 here and vote for your favourite finalist in the popular prize too.
This will make solar power more accessible to people that cannot afford the high prices of current solar panel. Amazing!
You were a monster at times.
I have nothing to say because I don't feel like one.
Are you a monster?
I'm not conscious of what you're saying I should be conscious of.
Are you a monster?
Certainly not.
Are you evil?
Well, what do you call evil?
The systematic abuse of children is evil.
For more than 30 years, this is the only glimpse the world has had of Australia's most secretive cult leader, Anne Hamilton Byrne.
Look!
To her followers, she is the reincarnation of Christ. To the children she beat and abused, a monster. Now, for the first time, Anne Hamilton Byrne has agreed to talk.
Were the children ever hit?
Of course they weren't.
Because?
They were not beaten.
Never.
Never. You'll have to be pretty good to see through that bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. It's lies.
But this is to be no ordinary interview.
It didn't happen, hasn't it?
No, but what about if they went...
Well, that's crucial, isn't it? That's crucial.
What
I don't abuse my children.
No, yes.
Some of the sect members aren't happy about our presence.
As far as I'm concerned, you're living a lie.
Because your entire life is a network of lies.
And less happy still that children of the sect are fighting back, demanding the truth finally be told about their brutal treatment at the hands of Anne Hamilton Byrne.
Of all the crimes that I investigated, she is the most evil person that I've ever met.
Lex de Man was the Victorian detective who, for years, pursued the cult.
These people truly believe that she is Jesus Christ.
What? I would love to see the rest of the story, but I couldn't find it. A new type of cloud seeding chemical. What do you think?
Intuition is your form of recognizing I've just had a hit. I'm getting information. Here's what is true. You won't become clearly intuitive if you don't have the capacity or the courage to follow your small intuitive hits. If you can't follow that, you sure aren't going to get a big one.
How do you know when it's truly intuition and not wishful thinking or not, imagination?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Because intuition makes you feel uncomfortable. Fantasy doesn't.
Oh, wow. Now you've got to say that again. Intuition makes you feel uncomfortable.
Fantasy doesn't. It's that kind of funky feeling. And somehow or other, with clear intuition, comes a package of courage that you don't get with fantasy. It's like a little battery that gets plugged into your solar plexus, gets plugged into your gut. And it begins to boom, 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 throb constantly. It's relentless. And it gets louder at night. You can count on it. Intuition becomes absolutely obnoxious at night. All right? Until you start doing something about it. And when you start following it, then you begin to experience the phenomenon of synchronicity. Whereas, if it's a manufactured fantasy, you don't get that kind of help. You absolutely don't get that kind of help.
You get closed doors.
Yeah, you get closed doors, or, people are reminded to forgive and let go. When people are holding on to grudges or can't think kindly of somebody, think of how many times you're reminded, will you get on with it and let this go? Now, what intuition generally does is it's a form of guidance for tomorrow and for today, to make the right choices today so that your tomorrow plays out the way it should. You can't get a clear intuitive hit because you're unable to act on it. You enter fog. You enter chaos. And it's a healing chaos. It's a protective chaos because you're not able to move forward anyway until you let go of the past. So all your intuition will be telling you is, let go of the past, because without doing that, I cannot give you a clear choice about tomorrow because you don't have the energy nor the focus to act on it. When you get an intuitive hunch, and usually intuitive hunches will direct you to take the most outrageous path in your life, take it.
If you have the Holy Spirit, you can feel it in your gut. We call it discernment. And then most of the time, your mind tries to reason it.
This is gonna blow your mind. Watch this woman as she takes her dad's ashes and puts it under a microscope. Check it out.
The picture I showed you is my dad's ashes. When he died, I needed to prove something to myself, but I needed to prove it in images. Somehow I got a permission to use UNAM's microscopes, and that's when PhDs in physics and chemistry and biology, they all said that what I was going to observe was white, black and gray, which is ashes. When I went into the lab, the doctor was just staring into the microscope. And when he finally called me and said come see, it was shocking for everyone, and especially for all the scientists. They weren't expecting that. And so it was just mind-blowing for me.
And if you're a deep analytical type person and you're just looking for the answers in life, I have a lot more content I want to share with you. And I want to let you know that you're welcome here on the journey to finding truth. Like this video and follow for more.
It's actually insane that nobody is talking about what this woman just said. Please listen carefully.
As most of us know, tobacco use is the strongest risk factor for oral cancer. However, newer research, such as this study published in 2019, does show that there is a connection between nicotine usage and the promotion of cell growth that leads to oral cancer. As I said in the initial video about Zyn pouches, prolonged nicotine exposure does significantly increase your risk for oral cancer.
So basically what she's saying is that while a lot of people think nicotine is only dangerous when it's paired with tobacco, that is not the case at all. And then she shows a study that shows that nicotine alone can increase your risk of getting oral cancer. So to anybody that's been taking Zins or any other nicotine pouches thinking that they're safe because they don't contain tobacco, just know that these can definitely cause damage. So to anybody that wants to quit nicotine pouches but you think you would need a little help, just know that caffeine pouches can be a really effective tool when trying to get off of nic. And these nic-free pouches not only contain caffeine, but they also have L-tyrosine, Tongkat Ali, and horse chestnut, which is really good for your energy and stamina, as well as your focus and awareness levels. So if you want to try those caffeine pouches for yourself, I linked them right here directly on our page.
So is it weird that we no longer believe anything the medical community tries to tell us?
83 years ago, a two-day massacre erupted against the Jews of Baghdad, known as the Farhud. A violent mob led by Arabs aligned with the Nazis went door to door, murdering, raping, looting, and setting on fire as many Jewish homes as they could. It was a turning point for the ancient Jewish community there, and within a decade, most of Iraq's 135,000 Jews were forced to flee to Israel, including Shlomo Mansour, who survived the Farhud as a 3-year-old and was kidnapped from his home on October 7th. At 86, he's the oldest Israeli still being held hostage in Gaza.
Unbelievable. My heart breaks for Shlomo. What this soul has been through.
Well, angelic looking woman in this photo is 27 years old. She's living in a luxury high-end part of central London. She heads over to a friend's house. They're playing a murder mystery board game. Why, just a few days later, is somebody found dead at a multi-million-pound apartment near Hyde Park? This is a live unfolding case happening right now in London. There are so many details which jump out to me as unusual, which are a mystery and they're a tragedy, but I really wanted to tell you Angela's story. 10 years ago, Kamananthi Parnit, or Angela as she was known to her friends, moved halfway across the world to the UK. She graduates from the University of the Arts and things just keep getting better for Angela. She becomes an entrepreneur because property and rental are big business in London. And Angela is living in a luxury 6-bedroom house. It's a beautiful place in an amazing location round the corner from Hyde Park. She decides to redecorate and start renting her place out on Airbnb. And Angela is smart, right? I mean, this property is in the hub of London. It's near all the big tourist hotspots and she can make a decent wedge from this place. It actually used to be the old Ethiopian embassy and she's charging £600 a night per room. On one weekend in April earlier this year, Angela is even more excited. She's just had a DM through on Airbnb, this wealthy businessman who's interested in renting the whole of her house. And he's offering Angela big money, £30,000 for the whole house for the whole month. So Angela's boyfriend Chris is away at the moment, he's in Singapore, but she calls him, she's buzzing to share the news about this big business deal. This guy's flown over to London on a private jet, he says he's got a child. He looks around Angela's place and he says he's really happy with the aesthetic and the vibe. And he hints at something even more exciting, which Angela tells Chris about, that he could be up for renting her place for 3 months if he settles in well. This is obviously a big deal for Angela. She could be about to make £90,000 in this deal. On the phone to Chris, Angela mentions that they've decided to sort this deal off the Airbnb platform. Now, I've had Airbnb hosts ask me to do this before because Airbnb charges hosts 3 to 5% commission. So sometimes it earns them more money if they ask you to take it offline. I've never said yes, though, because I think booking through Airbnb gives you payment protection and it gives you a certain level of safety. But anyway, Angela and this guy, they decide to deal with each other directly. He says he'll bank transfer her the $30,000 tomorrow and he'll move in straight away. She tells her boyfriend Chris that she's going to go check into a hotel and she'll find herself somewhere proper to stay in the long term. Angela is on a high and she's about to go off and spend her Saturday night as usual, going over to her mates in East London and they're going to play some board games. The hours pass by, Angela is laughing with her friends, they're playing this murder mystery game, but something just seems not right. Angela is a bit distracted, she keeps looking at her phone, her friends say that she just kept texting somebody. At around 3 a.m-ish, she turns around to her friends and says, an emergency has come up, I've got to leave, and she just goes immediately. That is the last time her friends would see Angela, because she goes missing. The 27-year-old living out her big dreams in London. Her boyfriend is in Singapore, her mum is in Thailand, and their lives are about to be changed forever when they get a call off the Metropolitan Police. Why would the millionaires who live in this area report hearing 2 high-pitched screams and then an eerie silence in the early hours? Why was violent rap music playing for 5 hours before and after Angela's disappearance? In part 2, I'll tell you why police have now launched an international manhunt and what happened to this young woman with such big dreams ahead of her.
I hadn't heard about this, but immediately thought he hasn't transferred the money, so she's gone to the house and not left. What do you think? Don't go anywhere because we still have fire clips after fire clips back to back.
If you are loud about money, what you have, your body, and all that, you're searching for external validation because confidence is quiet, insecurities are loud. That's how I see it. I don't need to show you how much money I'm making. I don't need to, like look at what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my crystals and all that, and everyone looks at me, they're like, oh, you're so successful. Why are you dressed like that? Why are you dressed in linen and all these things? And because I know who I am, I don't need to prove anything to you.
In your view, what's luxury?
5D consciousness, 3D experience. That's luxury. It's to have the healed, the awakened mind of the consciousness of different dimensions, which is astral on a soul level, and a great connection with God, but yet to be embodying a 3D experience. That's luxury. But no, not Hermes bags, not all these things. Because look, I'm not saying I don't buy. I buy. I do have some brands.
Cool.
But it's like very rare, and I'm not attached to it. Neither am I consumed by it, and I don't need to wear it so you'd believe anything about me.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. It doesn't matter. I crave walking in nature. I crave walking in a forest. I crave deep connection with God. I crave meditation deeply. I crave more wisdom and knowledge. I crave to know my soul better.
Confidence is quiet, insecurity is loud. Wow, I love it.
In China, a father of 8 went viral on Douyin, which is the TikTok in China. The dad's name is Tong Qimin. We're gonna call him Mr. D. Mr. D had a really intense story. His mom was in her 80s and he was taking care of his disabled older brother. He had 8 children that ranged from 3 years old to 10 years old, and he was raising them all by himself in this tiny little village in China. And people started asking, well, what are the kids' names? What should we call the kids? And he responded, well, you guys want to know the kids' names. So the girl's name is Silver Phoenix, Hong Kong, Aerospace.
Hong Kong?
Yeah,
His name is Hong Kong?
Yeah,
Hong
Hong
Kong?
Kong. Yeah.
Interesting.
Aerospace, Gold Mountain,
Okay.
Silver Mountain, Treasury, International. Okay, so of course the viewers, I mean, they had the same reaction like we did, which is like, okay, we're not judging, but like, who named these kids? Was there a meaning behind, all these different names? Like, there's gotta be a story behind this. No one names their kids that without a good story, right? And he calmly explained, the story is, the money from the Gold Mountain goes to the Silver Mountain, then it goes to the bank, and the bank's money goes to the treasury, and if the treasury is unable to keep the money, it goes international or into aerospace or to Hong Kong.
What?
Okay, so
What in the world?
basically, I think he was really adamant that at least one of his kids would have money. I think it's also supposed to be like, okay, like the money is gonna end up in one of my kids' pockets, because if it doesn't stay in the bank, it goes to the treasury. If it doesn't go there, it goes to this, and it goes to aerospace. Does that make sense? So he's like thought of all the loopholes of where the money could be sent, and he was like, got that covered, got it covered, okay? I mean, the sentiment of it all was just hope, which is a good sentiment we can get behind. Fine, a little bit strange, but that's fine. We can get behind some fun names. People are naming their children all sorts of weird things. I mean, have you heard these celebrity kids' names these days? Even weirder. I think the only frequently asked question that wasn't well answered was, where the hell is their mother? And all he would say was, the children's mom is the hero of the family. That was like it. Nobody wanted to push it because maybe he didn't want to air out the dirty laundry online. Maybe the mom passed away and it was too sensitive of a subject. Maybe she cheated and left, right? Everyone tried to remain respectful. Like, guys, stop asking. Stop asking. Like, we don't need to know, okay?
The explanation behind those names just shows he was blessing his children. That's all.
Only one sound in this entire world that will forever separate the old generation from the new one. For when the new generation hears it, they'll have no idea what we're talking about. But when the old generation hears it, we cringe. For we know the struggle we had to endure, that the new generation will never have to. So here is the one sound that will forever separate our generations.
I remember that dial-up sound in my childhood years.
Vlad, it's weird.
I'm sorry, teenage years.
He's not there. So what happens is, wherever you are, he rents a studio, hires a film crew. So he has an iPad there. It's basically a FaceTime. Matt Cox, how are you today? He does his little thing, but you're sitting there and the camera's here. He's just to the side of the camera on a little stand or a little on a whatever that he's got. First thing he said was, completely know your story. I've read all about it, read your book. 5 minutes in, I realized you don't have it. clue. So I said, listen, I said, you haven't read my book, because I'll just sit here and tell my story. Oh, I did get notes on it. Like my assistant wrote some notes and some things for me to, instead of you asking me questions, I'll just tell the story and blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden he would stand up and walk away. Yeah, I'd stop. Like it was super, like I'm used to, I'm talking to somebody and you get up and walk off. You expect me to keep looking at the camera and answer, but like he didn't prepare me for that. So he goes, no, keep, I can hear you. I'm just doing something. I'm still here. Keep talking. And then as I'm talking, he comes and he sits down and then he asks, right.
You missing teeth? Well, no need to worry, because the world's first tooth regrowing medicine will be given to humans in September. And yes, I said that correctly, a medicine that will literally regrow your teeth, the bones in your mouth, or in America, as we call them, since we don't have universal health care, luxury bones, as they're often not covered by Medicare or Medicaid. So this is coming out of Kyoto University in Japan. They did successful animal trials not very long ago, regrowing the teeth of a ferret and various other rodents. And here is a video that the university put out that kind of breaks down the science of this process. You can actually see these teeth regrowing. There's just so incredibly much going on in this video. They're very, very specific about it. But what they're going to do is they are going to, if I can find some interesting pictures, they're going to be testing this on men aged 30 to 64 that have lost some teeth. And then in the second phase of the trial, they're going to be trying this on children aged 2 to 7 that have a birth defect or a genetic disorder that prevents them from growing a certain number of teeth. And they're hoping the medicine will help regrow teeth in older men who have lost them just due to consequences of living, and also in children who have lost them because they were born that way. I think it would be downright awesome if there was a medicine that regrows teeth. Now, I do want to clarify, this is a slow and painful process. Your teeth don't just boop back in a few weeks. They have to grow in pretty slowly. It's not supposed to be fun or pleasant, but I do think it's very awesome that you can just straight up regrow them over time, and I genuinely hope that this works.
The UK will love this.
People's noses used to fall off from shagging too much. You're a simple man, and once again, you've been charmed by Pug Eyes over here. It's not enough that you and Puggle share a family tree. You're going to take it one step further and share a bed. Unfortunately, you're not the first cousin she's shagged, and not only do you not feel as special anymore, she's also given you a bit of the clap. Not only does that no longer make you a top shagger, trying to cure it with mercury isn't going to help either, so your nose falls off. Don't worry, because you can use a fake one. And this one here is made of plated metal, but you could also get silver ones and gold ones. Who's going to tell the difference? Not me. That looks real. And you don't even have to open your legs to join in on the fun. Just get in a scrap in Aldi car park and someone will slice your nose off with a sword. This happened to our favourite Danish science lad in the Tudor era. But it doesn't look like he needed a whole new nose though. This looks like a little paw strip, and then he's whacked the Crayolas out to try and blend it in. And he'd walk around with a little bag containing putty that would help attach this brass nose on his face.
I cannot believe I never heard of this. Like, why did their nose fall off? Man, those era was wild.
Mom saw no hope inside of me. What pastor told my mom, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know this, but he told my mom that as much as you want your son to go to heaven, who do you think loves him more, cares about him more, and wants him to be in heaven more? And then she's like, God. Amen, he said. So give up your parentship, basically. Give it up to God. God will raise your children. When my mom fully let me go and was like, okay, God, I never thought a watching gang member like me would ever have anything to do with church, would ever want to go back to prisons and help people. It was really through the grace of God, but it was my mother's faith that really impacted me. And he told her the story of Lazarus. Lazarus was dead in the tomb for 4 days. Did Lazarus have faith? No, he couldn't. He was dead. But the people around him, Mary and Martha, had faith. Everyone in their eyes was seeing Lazarus dead, but Jesus' word said he was sleeping. So who was right? Jesus was right. He hopped out of the tomb when, Jesus called him. So likewise, your son doesn't matter if he has faith, but the faith that you have, it's concurrent with Acts chapter 16, verse 31. It says, believe in the name of Jesus and you will be saved, you and your household. So when that word entered my mom's heart, my mom no longer started to stop me from doing anything. She put all of her faith inside of God, and that's what changed me.
Wow, look at that. Let go and let God. You know, he's blessed, and so do I, because we have a praying mom. I probably would have been dead so many times if it's not for her prayers.
Father rushed the stage at his daughter's graduation to stop the school district's black superintendent from shaking her hand. Here's what happened. The viral incident occurred last Friday, May 31st, at the graduation ceremony for Baraboo High School near Madison, Wisconsin. In the video, the father, identified as Matthew Eddy, 49, rushed across the stage to interrupt the ceremony as his daughter's name was called to receive her diploma. As is custom in graduation ceremonies, she shook hands with school and district officials. But before she could get to District Superintendent Rainey Briggs, Matthew Eddy could be seen pushing Briggs away. Quote, "That's my daughter. I don't want her touching him," Eddy reportedly said during the incident. After an investigation, Eddy was issued a criminal citation for disorderly conduct. The motivation behind Eddy's action has not been confirmed, but that didn't stop internet users from sharing their speculations. Many wondered if Eddy's actions were driven by racism, including Wisconsin State Representative Francesca Hong, who shared on X, formerly Twitter, quote, "No one should have to endure this type of gross and racist conduct." Baraboo High School stirred up controversy back in 2018 after a parent posted a photo online that showed several current and former students doing the Nazi salute. The New York Times reported that at the time, the then superintendent said the school district was, quote, "not in a position to punish students for their actions because of their First Amendment rights."
If I'm not mistaken, this wasn't about racism. The superintendent bullied and harassed students. The father was just, like protecting his daughter.
Read a study and you're just like, there's no way that's true. Intelligent.com surveyed 800 employers and they said 19% of recent college graduates that they have interviewed have brought a parent to their interview. There's just, I don't buy it. I buy everything else up here. The struggle with eye contact, dressed inappropriately, brought a parent to I couldn't eat 19%. So that's over 100 people. Is this actually what? I don't even know what kind of mind state you'd have to be in to bring your mom or dad to your job interview. It wouldn't. I don't even. I'm shooketh.
I don't see anything wrong with it. If I were the interviewer, I saw that as a plus. It means that you have good relationship with your parents.
People in a remote tribe in the Amazon are becoming lazy and some are now addicted to corn, thanks to Elon Musk's Starlink. The Marubo tribe in Brazil has just around 2,000 members. They live along the Itui River in the Amazon forest, and tribespeople have been divided over, technology. According to the New York Times, Elon Musk's Starlink installed satellites around the region in the second half of 2023. It connected the tribe to the internet, and a few positive changes have taken place. For example, the tribe is able to quickly contact emergency services, and elders say that has already saved lives. The Marubo tribe can also get in touch with other tribes in the Amazon and exchange educational resources. But at the same time, many young Marubo people are now always on their phones. People have signed up to Facebook and Instagram and have gotten lazy, says an elder. Another elder revealed that some youths are now exposed to corn, with some young men sharing corn videos in group chats. The elder also says he's observed more aggressive sexual behavior among some young men. A father expressed concerns about his son playing first-person shooter games. He says he's worried that they're suddenly going to want to mimic them. The internet has also given young Marubo people a glimpse of the outside world. Hama Say Marubo, the tribe's first woman leader, says that a 15-year-old girl now dreams of traveling the world while another wants to be a dentist. The Marubo tribe's members have also fallen victim to misinformation and online scams. When it arrived, everyone was happy, 73-year-old elder Sainama Marubo told the New York Times. But now things have gotten worse. Young people have gotten lazy because of the internet, and they are learning the ways of the white people, she says. However, after saying this, she paused and told the New York Times, but please don't take our internet away.
Giving internet access but no internet safety is insane. This was a sneaky social experiment.
Hear a wild story? Well, meet the most hated man in America, O.J. Simpson. See, O.J. had a problem. You see, after Orenthal James was found not guilty for his wife and her friend, the court said, oh, you think you finna get away with this? So a little while later, they arrest OJ again. He said, what I do? The judge said, you know what you did. You going to jail for 16 years. OJ said, what did I do? They said, well, it says here it's battery and burglary. You were in a traffic stop and you took somebody's glasses off. OJ said, y'all finna give me 16? They said, well, when you take somebody's glasses, all right, you free to go for now. Boom, the FBI then raided his house. They said, where the drugs at, OJ? He said, what? They said, somebody said you got in here. He said, I ain't got no drugs. They started looking all over the place. They said, OJ said, y'all tripping. Hold on, somebody calling me. Cable company, what y'all want? They said, hey, yeah, when the FBI was raiding your house, they found that you was getting cable networks that you shouldn't be having, so you got to give us $50,000. He said, they still here. Y'all quick with it. FBI said, we the FBI. So you know it. OJ said, I'm finna go take a vacation. All y'all leave me alone. They said, where you going? He said, leave me alone. He goes to Miami. He hops on a boat. They stop him. They said, OJ, this is a manatee zone and you speeding. You going to jail. OJ said, come on. They said, all right, fine. You're not going to jail. We tripping a little bit, but we going to give you a speeding fine. OJ said, y'all finished? They said, nah, you owe us $1 million in taxes. OJ said, $1 million? All right, y'all got it. Now y'all finished? They said, you better not mess up, OJ. He messed up, but you need to listen closely. Somebody named Richie calls him and says, I sell sports memorabilia. For those of you that don't know, OJ played football. He was really good. They said, somebody stole some of your stuff and they're trying to sell it to me. OJ said, I don't care. The guy shows him some of the items. Now, it's family stuff. It's pictures of him, his mom, and all that. OJ says, okay, I care a little bit now. Richie says, I got a plan. Prepare your ears. You're about to hear something stupid. He says, what if, instead of calling the police, I walk in, pretend that I'm gonna buy the stuff. Then you pop in, like surprise, and say, give me my stuff. OJ says, that's not a bad idea. OJ's lawyer hits him up, says, OJ, you stupid? OJ goes, watch out, bro. I was going to Vegas for a wedding anyway. So while I'm there, I might as well pick up the stuff. No big deal. OJ goes to the wedding. Richie calls up OJ. By the way, his name is Riccio, but I'm going to keep calling him Richie. He calls up OJ and says, hey, bro, I forgot to tell you, it's a lot of stuff, so you might need to bring some people. OJ says, I got people in the wedding. They just finna come with me. Richie says, cool. Hey, I forgot to tell you another thing. Bro kind of big. Dude, you finna buy stuff from kind of big. So OJ go, big how? Richie go, his chest is large, so you might need to buy some security. OJ said, we just picking up some stuff. Some dude said, I'll come. OJ said, huh? He said, I do security. I'll come. OJ said, all right, come on. OJ and his crew arrive at the hotel. Before they get to the hotel room, the security guy was like, OJ, I got the strap if you need me. OJ said, what's wrong with you? He said, oh, I'm fired. I'm gonna keep it in my pocket. OJ said, keep it in your pocket. They walk into the hotel room. Richie opens the door. It's Richie's hotel room. OJ says, surprise! And he sees none other than a friend of his, Bruce. Bruce go, OJ. OJ go, Bruce. So it turns out that OJ's longtime friend, Bruce, and some other dude took his stuff. Now remember who all here. Richie standing on the side going, ooh, it's OJ, his security team, Bruce, and the other dude. Bruce says, my fault, gang. It's your stuff. OJ go, I know. I'm finna just take my stuff. The other dude with Bruce go, who taking whose stuff? OJ security guard go, you trying to get gangster? Pulls out the strap and go, what were you saying? Everybody said, oh, you got it? Now, OJ says he didn't see when the was brought out and Bruce told him afterwards. Regardless of all that, the police get involved. They book OJ for armed robbery and kidnapping, life in prison. OJ goes, that's ridiculous. His lawyer go, he said, OJ, everybody in that room turned on you so fast I almost threw up. Richie recorded the whole thing. The security guard with the recorded the whole thing, and it doesn't look good for you. OJ said, I'm obviously being set up. His lawyer said, you ain't gotta convince me, you gotta convince the jury. OJ looked at the jury, they all white. He said, I'm going to jail. But OJ still thinks he has a chance because it turns out that guy Richie, turns out he's a con man. Remember when I told you he recorded OJ earlier? His wife said a typical con is to record OJ then sell it to TMZ, which he did for $150,000. Now, they used the recording in the court. In this recording, OJ's losing it, saying, everybody give me my stuff right now, right now. OJ says, I never said that. So they bring in the FBI. The FBI listens to the tape and they go, it's probably fake. As for the security guard, I'll let him tell you what he said.
I said, OJ, I'm not going to prison for him.
because I know he wouldn't go for me. Now, OJ was found guilty very quickly, as well as another guy. I lied to you a little bit earlier. There was a guy who didn't snitch on him in the room. He said, sometimes you gotta stand for what is right. We all knew this was a setup for the trial with his ex-wife, so I'm not gonna lie. The judge said, and they gave the guy who didn't snitch 2 years instead of 12 years. Now, OJ, on the other hand, got 33 years, but only served 9. Because he kept asking for retrials. The people that testified against him kept saying on interviews, maybe I exaggerated a little bit, so they let him go.
This brother has a doctorate in storytelling. And this is a great example of just because they find you not guilty, it doesn't make you're not going to pay one way or another.
So 100% of root canals are infected. 100%.
100%. You hear that?
Okay. And I'll read you a thing, which this was actually studied. But before I do it, let me just finish this. So he pulled the tooth. He took a little scraping at the base of the tooth where it was in the jawbone. And he sent it to DNA Connections for analysis. Now, these are probably 20 different bacteria. You can't read it. All toxic bacteria. The black line shouldn't be there. If there was no infection, the black line wouldn't be there. This infection is massive.
Wow.
And these are all like, I was an infectious disease doctor. So these are bad bugs. Staph aureus, streptococcus, Fusobacterium, Enterobacter, Endomoeba species. So there's parasites in there. There's Campylobacter, Actinomyces. There's funguses in there. This is in the base of this tooth.
It's wild.
So this isn't healthy.
In Indonesia, we use oregano oil. 1 or 2 drops in 15 milli water. Swish, then swallow use as needed.
Man is about to turn $50,000 into $1 billion. Keith Gill was your average guy. He worked a 9 to 5, but he had a dream, and that was to get stupidly rich off of GameStop. 4 years ago, he managed to turn $50,000 into $50 million. His story got made into a book and then a movie, but it doesn't end there. After 3 years of not posting anything on social media, he came back with this, $200 million on GameStop. And this latest bet might make him a billionaire as early as tomorrow. This will cement his legacy as one of the greatest traders ever. Imagine turning $50,000 into $1 billion.
Not so fast. GameStop is down 20%. I trade Forex, but I'll follow stock market a little bit.
Shock. China actually spent $20 billion to build the world's longest cross-sea bridge. It took a total of 9 years. It is the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, known as one of the 7 wonders of the world. It adopts the architectural form of a trinity of bridge, island, and tunnel. The main bridge is 18 miles long. The bridge is 108 feet wide. The total paved area is 7.5 million square feet. It is a 2-way, 6-lane expressway. After the completion of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, it shocked bridge experts around the world. It is called the pinnacle of the world's bridge history. It is worth mentioning that the bridge is 34 miles long. Safety features are excellent. It can withstand a magnitude 8 earthquake, a magnitude 16 typhoon, and a once-in-300-year flood in the Pearl River estuary. The safety of the entire bridge can be said to be a benchmark in the bridge industry. The completion of this bridge reflects the strength and technology of Chinese infrastructure builders. It is a model for China's infrastructure construction. I have to say that China's infrastructure is really amazing.
Absolutely amazing for sure. Alright folks, I'm going to end our video with this coming clip. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget to like or dislike so I can make better content. Thank you for staying till the end. There's a free gift below if you like. Thank you for watching. Peace. Have a prosperous day. And God bless.
Shining, alright. Strawberry champagne all night. Nothing to do that all. I like it the way I like it. Lucky for you the way I like it. The way I like it. Sex by the fire all night. Sheet and diamonds all white. Lucky for you the way I like it.